See, the wife producer did that. Hi, guys, and welcome to the 6 o'clock news. So, we are going to go to Drudge. I'm going to be using Drudge every time I do this because I like the website. I mean, it looks like it's from the 90s, but that's fine because the guy that runs it believes in a free press, and I'll support that. You guys know where I would have went in the past, but it's like there's so much baggage with that no, we're not even speaking the name of it. So first thing we're going to talk about is the big thing on Drudge is Biden at 80, and I think the questions are the second term. Really, you're 80. A respecter of fate mulls a second White House bid. This is from the AP. People in their 80s lead countries, create majestic art, and perform feats of endurance. One entered the record books for scaling Mount Everest. It's soon time for Joe Biden, 80, on Sunday, to decide whether he has one more mountain to climb, the one to a second term as president. Questions swirl right now in his own party as well, broadly in the country, about whether he's got what it takes to go for the summit again. The oldest president in U.S. history, Biden hits his milestone birthday at a personal crossroads as his family face a decision in the coming months on whether he should announce for re-election. Now, I mean, the gaffes are pretty well known and seen by everybody. And he's been prone to gaffes pretty much his entire career. But and I don't mean this to be ageist at all because I have sympathy for someone that's aging. That's not a deal at all with me. Okay, my concern is the country, of course, and do you want a president that's in there and has cognitive issues, which he clearly does? Okay, and that's been an issue for since I mean certainly in the prior election that he won, it was an issue. So, do we want to go down that road? Probably, because for some reason I don't know. Like he gets away with most of whatever. Like it's, just, but I don't want to seem like I'm even anti-Biden at this point because it's not that I'm anti-Biden. It's the party is I mean, it's like it got taken over by the woke people, and honestly, is that where you want things going? And for me, that's a no. You know what I mean? But honestly, everybody knows that the man has cognitive issues. So are we gonna go there? I don't know. Biden aides and allies say he intends to run. I mean, that's pretty much telling you, yeah, here we go. And his team has begun quiet preparations for a campaign, but it's often been the president himself who sounded the most equivocal. My intention is that I run again, he said in a news conference this month, but I'm a great respecter of fate. Okay, Joe, the respecter of fate. Well, that's wonderful. So that's what we got for God. This is really they really want you clicking on ads, folks. That's for sure. Okay. Um, let's see. Let's talk about Twitter. Diminished Twitter faces tests for hate speech. So it's about the World Cup for the World Cup test for hate speech moderation. Last year, Twitter sprinted to remove a deluge of racist tweets targeting three black players being blamed for England's loss in the soccer's Euro 2020 championship, prompting world leaders and activists to blame social media for amplifying bigotry. Now, hate speech advocates are. Oh, I'm sorry. This is from World News Era. Sorry. Um, this year's World Cup, as a social media giant grapples with a mass exodus of employees and the tumultuous leadership style of the new owner, Elon Musk. Even before Musk laid off half of Twitter's staff, his acquisition of Twitter had opened the door to a flood of racist and anti-Semitic trolls seeking to test Twitter's, and this is true, definitely. Because I'm going to tell you, when I tried to become, like, I was going to build a Revelation News on Freedom Media. It's called Freedom Media, and it was Trump's platform. Uh, I immediately saw the anti-Semites that were there. It's immediate. And I said, if you expect me to be on this, I made a post of this, and it was seen by everybody that's out there. It was a very cool idea for a platform because there's no following or anything. People just see you. So you can be seen right alongside Musk and Trump, and I don't think Musk is on there, but Trump, and you're just seen. It's like, and you got views. I said, if you think I'm staying on this platform with a bunch of anti-Semitic pieces of trash, then you got another thing coming. And I was banned immediately. Like, the post was up, it was seen by about 50 people, and then I was banned completely off the platform. No word, no email, just you're gone. Wiped my account. The alt-right has a huge problem there. And everybody knows what Kanye Ye West, because he wants to be called Ye, okay? People have been hearing what he's been saying about Jewish media. He makes a delineation between Jews and Jewish people. It's real bad. And I don't want to go into it any more than that because a lot of this stuff is so bad you don't want to talk about it really. But I think we can talk about it here because, I mean, Hassan Abi's on here and he talks about this anti-Semitic stuff all the time. So I don't think they censor this type of stuff like they do on YouTube. If I said anti-Semitic, my video would probably get flagged and demonetized. It's so bad. YouTube is the most useless platform on the planet at this point, unless you're into pee-pee poo-poo jokes. Okay. Even before Musk laid off half of Twitter's staff, his acquisition of Twitter had opened the door to a flood of yeah. So there you go. Like the question is, when these things happen, is Musk going to be okay with those things being up? And he probably is, because he's a freedom of speech guy. But his idea is we ostracize the bad ideas. That's why he pretty much said that, I think, in a tweet recently, not too long ago, where they're asking him, like, what? Yeah, your free speech, okay, that's great, but what about all this hate speech? Okay? And he's basically like, well, yeah, we'll deal with it in terms of, like, condemning bad ideas. And I think that's the way to deal with it. You let them have their say, but you must respond to, especially the stuff that can lead to really bad stuff happening, like the Holocaust. Okay? All right, we're done with that. Trump indictment watch. New special counsel schooled in corruption cases. This is from DNYUZ. Like, media's getting so dumb at this point, it makes me sad. In new special counsel, a prosecutor schooled in corruption cases. When Jack Smith was appointed to lead the Justice Department's Public Integrity Unit in 2010, he recommended closing a series of high-profile investigations into members of Congress without charges, attracting criticism that the division had lost its nerve. He rejected the idea. I understand why the question was asked, Mr. Smith said at the time, but if I were the sort of person who would be cowed, I know we should bring this case. I know the person did it, and we could lose, and that would look bad. I would find another line of work. On Friday, Attorney General Merrick B. Garland appointed Mr. Smith to a role in is almost certain to test his fortitude like few others. As special counsel, he will oversee a pair of criminal investigations involving former President Donald J. Trump, thrusting him into a political firestorm that will doubtlessly accompany the job. Mr. Smith appears as prepared for the task as anyone could be. Those who know him say he's been prosecuting criminal cases, including politically charged corruption investigations involving public officials, for nearly 30 years. At the start of his career, Mr. Smith was a Justice Department lawyer out of the central casting, a clean-cut prosecutor from upstate New York who played well in front of juries. Now in his mid-50s and with grizzled mane to prove it, he'll bring both the experience and patient demeanor required to deal not only with the legal challenges of scrutinizing Mr. Trump, but also with the fierce partisan rancor that's sure to follow. Jack has a way about him of projecting calm, said Kelly Curry, who worked with Mr. Smith in the Brooklyn Federal Prosecutor's Office. People look to him for steady guidance. Raised in suburban Syracuse, Mr. Smith was a high school football and baseball player who finished his undergraduate degree at the State University of New York at Onada. Oh, not. I should know how to say that. It's a native. I think that's native. Wanada. Wanada. I think. Sorry, I'm white. Before making his way to Harvard Law School, where he graduated with honors in 19. Wow, honors from Harvard. Damn, he's no slouch. Instead of pursuing a career in big law, he opted to work as a prosecutor, first for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and then for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn. There he served in a number of supervisory positions, worked on an assortment of cases. Among the most prominent was one of a series of prosecutions of a group of New York City police officers involved in an attack of a Haitian immigrant named Abner Lumia in 1997. I think I remember that. Lumia? That definitely sounds familiar to me. Several of the officers were ultimately convicted on civil rights charges, and the main assailant, Justin Volpe, yeah, I remember this, was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Colleen Cavanaugh, who worked with Mr. Smith in Brooklyn, described as a quintessential public servant who was preternaturally driven to pursue big cases, the kind of man who did only two things outside of spending time with his wife, a documentary filmmaker, and their daughter, work and work out. There's no mystery here, Mr. Kavanaugh said. He's a hard-working, smart person who knows how to move cases. That's who he is. He comes in and he gets things done. Ms. Kavanaugh and Mr. Smith were partner in 2007 murder case in which Staten Island man Ronald Wilson was sentenced to death for killing two New York police detectives with shots to the backs of their head during an undercover sting operation. 3 years later, however, a federal appeals court overturned the death sentence, ruling that the prosecution has violated Mr. Wilson's rights by telling the jury, okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to cut it off here. We're learning about this prosecutor. His name is Jack Smith, and if you want to see what he looks like, that's the guy right there. So he is going to be the one taking on the Trump madness, all of these cases and I don't even know how many cases there are brewing of possible legal problems for former President Trump, which makes you go, and the GOP is saying, we need to get rid of the Orange Man because this guy has, and in fact, I'll bring that up because I think it's Christie. Yeah, Christie, time to dethrone the Don. Mega donors abandon the ex-president. Okay, that's huge. So huge. You got the big donors saying no, Don. We're not going with you again. So that means the money is not with Trump. Hence, he might not even get the nomination. That's pretty crazy to think this man was running. He's still running the party pretty much. Like when they look for leadership, it's still him pretty much. Okay? Who are you going to put up there? Who? Are you going to run against Cadaver Joe? Okay? Say his name. Christie declares time has come to dethrone Trump if GOP wants to win in 2024. This is from Washington Examiner. Chris Christie is pushing Republicans to challenge Donald Trump head on and stop fearing the former president's grassroots supporters, saying the party is barreling toward more disappointment at the polls in 2024, absent fresh leadership at the top. Yeah, you want it, Chris? Okay. There's a number of people who are considering running for president who still treat him like Voldemort, like he who shall not be named, the former New Jersey governor told Washington Examiner Thursday, comparing Trump to the antagonist in Harry Potter's novels. They say leaders who do this or that, but they won't say that name, the name. I think that fails the leadership test, Christie said. You're going to run against him? Say his name. You think he did something wrong? Say his name. Christie, a one-time Trump ally who sought the White House in 2016, and has emerged as a vocal critic of the former president in the wake of the 2020 election, is not a disinterested party. The former two-term governor, ex-attorney, is mulling a 2024. Of course he is. He ran last time, like, of course, and he's gonna badmouth Trump because he thinks, oh my God, this could be my chance this time. Maybe it's this one for Christie, you know. Uh, yeah, Trump announced on Tuesday. Christie said he would decide in roughly 5 to 6 months. His family is on board. A key metric is consideration process. The other two being whether he concludes he is the right person for the moment, whether he sees a pathway to winning. Yeah, that's just your stock, Chris. Christie's trip to Las Vegas to speak at the Republican Jewish Coalition Conference, the unofficial kickoff to the 2024 primary, is part of that process. Christie endorsed Trump at a critical moment in the 2016 primary, and was a key advisor to the former president on policy and political matters. But Christie broke with Trump, and it just reloaded. I hate when that happens.
Me too.
Republicans are only privately critical of Trump. Christie chided him in public. Trump's quiet Republican critics keep their complaints under wraps to avoid the wrath of grassroots GOP voters, many of whom think highly of the 45th president. As happened to some Republicans in the midterm elections, they worry Trump might endorse a challenger in the GOP primary, endangering their political careers. Because that's what the Don does. He acts like that. All right, let's go to this other one. That's it. Mega donors abandon ex-president. This is from The Hill. Trump faces potential fundraising problem as mega donors jump ship. Former President Donald Trump could face a surprising problem as he mounts his 2024 campaign. A cash crunch as wealthy mega donors gravitate towards Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. That's where they're going to put their hat, with DeSantis. That's probably a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
And other potential contenders. A loyal army of small dollar donors will power Trump's presidential bid, potentially making it up for the exodus of billionaire backers. But they've shown signs of scaling back their giving. And while Trump's political machine is starting off with a war chest of more than $110 million, federal law prevents him from using most of that money to advance his White House campaign. Meanwhile, Trump's political committees are shelling out huge sums on his legal defense, totals that only seem to likely rise after the Department of Justice on Friday announced a special counsel to oversee probes into him. Probe. And then Butthead would go like that, you know. That's probably where I should end it, because I'm sorry, guys. Like, I have not been feeling well at all. And doing an hour like this is, when you feel really bad on the inside, can be pretty hard, and Shanny knows. She did 4 hours. It's like amazing. GOP mega donors abandon Trump. Billionaire Republican donors are splitting from Trump after the far below expectation of last week's midterm elections, dealing a serious blow to his fundraising prospects. Hedge fund manager Ken Griffin, the second most prolific GOP donor of the midterm, said Tuesday that he would support DeSantis over Trump, pointing to the Florida governor's dominant re-election victory in a state that was considered competitive until recently. I'd like to think that the Republican Party is ready to move on from somebody who has been, for this party, a 3-time loser, Griffin said. The forum in Singapore, referring to the last 3 election cycles. Griffin, who bankrolled a pro-Trump super PAC in previous cycles, gave $5 million to a political committee aligned with DeSantis last year. Steven Schwartzman, CEO of a private equity giant Blackstone and a top Republican donor, announced Wednesday that he would support a challenger to Trump in 2024. America does better when its leaders are rooted in today and tomorrow, not today and yesterday, Schwartzman said in a statement. It's time for the Republican Party to turn a new generation of leaders, and I intend to support one of them in the presidential primaries. Robert and Rebecca Mercer, top donors of Trump's 2016 campaign, are also done back in the former president. Several prominent Republicans who supported Trump's 2020 re-election bid, including South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, former Vice President Mike Pence, and other possible your former vice presidents, like, see ya. Well, yeah, what do you expect? I mean, you had your guys going, whoa, that's pretty bad. And other possible 2024 challengers have made similar statements calling for new leadership after a disastrous midterm election for Trump endorsed candidates. We were told they were getting tired of winning, but I'm tired of losing. Former Trump administration Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, another potential 2024 hopeful. Yeah, it's over. The Republicans are just going to be done. If they don't go with Trump, it's going to be over. Yeah, you got 8 years of wow, Biden, and then it's probably Democrats for a while. I want to move. And so are most Republicans. Trump will at least be able to tap his enormous list of online small dollar Yep, I'm out. I ain't got nothing. Sorry, Don. Small dollar donors who powered his near record $774 million fundraising haul in 2020. But after bringing in big money in 2021, the Trump operations fundraising slowed in the first half of this year, forcing it to spend more on text, emails, online ads, and other appeals to donors. Trump-affiliated committees spent more than they raised in third quarter 20. Oh my God! Disaster. Trump, who is a billionaire himself, spent $66 million of his own money on his 2016 presidential campaign, but he opted not to self-fund his 2020 re-election run. The Hill has reached out to the Trump campaign for comment. Following his official 2024 announcement, the Trump campaign will also now be on the hook for millions of dollars in legal fees that were being paid by the Republican National Committee. This looks like a ship that's sunk already. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it's at the bottom of the Potomac already. We cannot pay legal bills for any candidate that's announced, RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel told CNN's Dana Bash, noting that the committee can't make in-kind contributions to a declared candidate. Well, that makes sense. Trump restricted from using war chest. Political committees controlled by or closely affiliated with Trump have a total of nearly $112 million in the bank, according to an analysis of the most recent Federal Election Commission (FEC) filings by nonpartisan research group Open Secrets. That would appear to give Trump a substantial head start over his GOP primary opponents, but only 13.5 million of that total can legally be used to bolster Trump's 2024 aspirations. That's because most of the money was raised by a leadership PAC and other committees that are not officially part of Trump's presidential campaign. Federal law prohibits candidates from double dipping into donor funds this way. Well, of course. Thus bypassing candidate contribution limits and transparency rules. Yeah. In an effort to dodge those restrictions, Trump's leadership PAC last month transferred $20 million to a super PAC called MAGA Inc.
What an idiot.
See, this stuff...
He's going to end up in jail because of this stupid shit.
This really reeks of, like, political pyramid schemes.
He's been doing it for years now. With this, you see what your emails?
Yeah. I just thought it was fundraising. The group is run by Trump aides, even though super PACs are supposed to be independent of candidates. That's true. A PAC is a political action committee. Okay, a PAC. You're not supposed to have a candidate. You're not supposed to push a candidate with a PAC. You're not supposed to do that. But MAGA Inc. Well, who the hell do you think they're gonna promote? The Nonpartisan Campaign Legal Center filed a complaint before the FEC this week, alleging that the transfer violated federal law prohibiting candidates. Oh my God, I think it does. I think it does. I think it's pretty much on its face. You're guilty of it. And their committees from transferring funds to soft money entities such as super PACs that can raise and spend unlimited funds. Oh my God. Like it's clear what they're doing. It's like money laundering in politics. I'm sorry, folks. I'm feeling a little sick. I really am. And this doesn't make it any better, but I've been feeling really bad today. So pray for me if you can. I really need it. I don't have my medication, and I've just been really suffering. Um, Saurav Ghosh, director of the federal campaign finance reform at Campaign Legal Center, said that the Trump campaign strategy is very clear violation of federal law, but it's still unclear whether the FEC will act in a timely manner or at all to prevent wrongdoing. The commission, which is divided equally among partisan lines, has rarely slapped penalties on campaign committees in recent years. Republican commissioners have dismissed every complaint against Trump, despite dozen instances of FEC's nonpartisan lawyers recommending an investigation. Quote, the FEC's track record of endorsing soft money violations is pretty poor, Ganesh said. And if you pair that with the fact that they have equally bad, if not worse, track record of enforcing really any campaign finance law against Donald Trump, that's interesting, ain't it? If Trump is successful in evading campaign finance laws, he could encourage DeSantis to do the same. Well, yeah, I mean, if they're not going to enforce it on Trump, then all of them can just go, whatever. Let's all money launder. The Florida governor hasn't said that he'll run for president, but he broke state-level fundraising records in his 2022 gubernatorial contest and spent only a fraction of the total. DeSantis ended the race with around $90 million in the bank between his campaign committee and affiliated PAC. If he were to try a similar maneuver as Trump and simply transfer all the money over to the super PAC that's geared towards supporting his candidacy, there's no question that would be another, even more clear-cut soft money violation. But I mean, look, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's like I have to choose what the hell I'm gonna do next. This is depressing. I'm sorry. So what's this about Barron? At Father's campaign launch, Barron thrust into the spotlight. What's happened here? At their Father's 2024, this is from Gazette Extra. At their Father's 2024 campaign launch, Barron Trump is thrust into spotlight, and Ivanka and Don Jr. are no-shows. As First Lady, Melania Trump spent a fair amount of time hitting out at media personalities and other public figures who made comments and cracked jokes about her young son Barron, at one point saying that a minor child should be off limits from scrutiny and hate. But Melania Trump probably won't have such an easy time anymore convincing strangers that it's not okay to say things about 16-year-old Barron now that her husband Donald Trump has announced that he's running again for president in 2024. It also won't help the former First Lady's efforts to protect Barron after the teenager was called upon this week to help shoulder the burden of showing family support for the patriarch's candidacy. Barron, reportedly standing 6'7", was a highly visible. That's amazing.
He's a Nephilim.
He's a big boy. Was a highly visible presence at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida, when the twice impeached former president announced his desire to retake the White House. More notably, Barron and his older brother Eric were the only two of Trump's 5 children to make it to the campaign event. Tiffany Trump wasn't at the announcement as she was reportedly on her honeymoon after getting married at Mar-a-Lago the previous weekend. Oh, well, good for Tiffany. She got married. Perhaps more painful for Trump, Donald Trump Jr. and Ivanka Trump, his 2 oldest children and his most prominent family supporters during his 2016 and 2020 campaigns, were conspicuously absent, the Daily Beast reported. A source told the Daily Beast that Trump Jr., a leading online prominent, sorry, a leading online proponent of Trumpian politics, was busy on a hunting trip in the Mountain West, yeah, and couldn't get a flight out to make it back for the speech because of bad weather. The timing for Trump Jr.'s hunting trip and his excuse for not getting there with his father's announcement sounds a bit strange. Trump Jr. was at Mar-a-Lago on Saturday night for Tiffany's wedding, and his father had been saying for days that he would say, I'm really suffering here. I'm like struggling.
I know, babe.
He would make his big campaign announcement on Tuesday. It's odd that Trump Jr., who plans to campaign for his father, couldn't put off his hunting trip for a couple days so he could stand by his father. Meanwhile, Ivanka Trump has made it clear that she wants to distance herself from politics altogether, which means she won't campaign for her father this time around, and she won't return for work for him in the White House if he's reelected. In a statement released to the media on Tuesday, Ivanka Trump said, "This time around, I am choosing to prioritize my young children and the private life we are creating as a family." Trump spent much of the past weekend during Tiffany's wedding festivities begging Ivanka to make an appearance Tuesday night. The New York Post. In the end, Trump had to settle for Ivanka's husband, Jared Kushner, being at the announcement. He said he was grateful for Eric and his wife, Laura, standing for him, and Kimberly Guilfoyle putting in an appearance on behalf of Trump Jr., her absent boyfriend. But with Barron's more headline what? But with Barron's more headline headline grabbing. With Barron's more headline grabbing siblings absent Tuesday night. God, that's a horrible sentence. That makes my skin crawl reading it. The boy's presence was all the more apparent, and not just because his height allows him to tower above everyone else he's around, including members of his family who are all tall people. That's true. Barron looked more comfortable in the spotlight than he has in the past. As a boy or a young teenager, he sometimes looked like he was shy or uncomfortable, and cameras trained on him. Sometimes his expressions generated memes and jokes that were likely to make his prospective mother unhappy. But on Tuesday night, a more assured-looking Barron followed close behind his father and mother. One YouTube channel joked that it looked like Barron was acting like his father's bodyguard, given that he also walked in close proximity to the former president's security. From whenever Barron was standing, he seemed at ease, sometimes smiling at the crowd, saying hello, and even imitating his father's signature thumbs up gesture. That's not news, folks.
No, that's more like a teenage boy finding himself. Williams was the same way.
Yeah, and look, I might just like give you some commentary or something at this point because I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm like really feeling bad.
It's okay, baby. You don't have to.
So I don't know. It's like these headlines are quite depressing to me as well because it really doesn't look like things in this country are ever going to get better, does it? I really don't think it looks that way. Um, when you realize that politics is a lot of smoke and mirrors, and it is a lot of talking for the sense of talking and nothing else, what the hell is that? That was loud. Anyway, we need Jesus. Uh, there is no, like, I don't see. I probably sound like just a cynical old man.
People have no integrity anymore.
No, that's it. Yeah. It's really horrible to look at your country and go, I just don't see a way forward. I just don't see it. Like we're going to keep going down these roads of just the American people getting screwed and their lives are shit, because it's all about living. We're very blessed. Okay? Of course we are. But there's no reason that a person should have to pay taxes to keep a roof over their head. These oppressive things that are in our lives. I don't even believe you should have to have a job to live. Like if you don't want to, you shouldn't. Or I mean, in this day and age, it's like if you don't do that, you're a sack of shit. And the Bible says you don't work, you don't eat. That's fine. But seriously, property ownership is a human right, and you shouldn't have taxes over your head and threatening you with homelessness every year and stuff like this. It's insanity. But the more I live and the older I get, the more I understand that Jesus Christ is the only way, and that's it. God bless you all.